Hello and welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna take a look at different Lost Ark build planner and maker options. There's a lot of very good websites already out there and you don't even need to download the game for most things. Obviously, if you want to see the full ability like play out, obviously you need maybe a YouTube video to guide you or actually download it. But for most things and for most build planners, we actually have external tools now, which a couple of great community members have made, and I want to give them a shout out in this video and then teach you a little bit about how to make your own builds, because I love doing that myself for PvE and for PvP, by the way. On top of that, a quick disclaimer: we don't really know what content we will start with, so this will be more of an overall video, not necessarily how to make a build for tier 1 or how to make a build for tier 3. It's more giving you the resources that you need to, learn about different builds and how to make them, and also to research maybe higher level Korean or Russian players, so you have a little bit of an, inspiration beforehand. So let's get started. Okay, so the first website we're going to talk about today is Lost Ark Tree. You've probably heard of this before. Most PvP players use this to share their links and their builds. There's a couple of downsides to this, but the biggest upswing is that this is very easy to set up. It's very easy to send to your friends. There's not a whole lot of external bullshit going on. If you want to share your actual ability setup with the different tripods, this is probably the quickest way to do so. It comes with obviously a couple of downsides as well, because most of these are not really translated for our version yet, but I mean you can tell from the pictures what's going on, which ability you're using, right? Same with the tripods, obviously. Yeah, this is just for abilities and tripods. You can set up attribute points, you can set up like external other things. But if you want a quick ability showcase for your friends or tripod showcase and just send them a quick build, this one is very, very nice. On top of that, you can actually look into skill data as well. Obviously, this is a Russian website. This will be related to the Russian server. So you can see what skills people use, what engravings are common on certain classes, and so on as well. So with that being said, I think this one, as I said, making your own little skill tree for the tripods and abilities is a good tool. And yeah, it's very simple and straightforward. So this one is my personal favorite website. It's called papunica.com, and this one has probably the most elaborate skill planner or build planner at the moment, especially if you want to make builds for PvE. So I will run you through what you can do here for a little bit, so you understand like what you can and can't do and what is realistic and what isn't. As I said before, we don't know if we're in tier 1 or tier 3 or whatever, but I think it's still important to take note of these things so you know them later on as well. Yeah. So first of all, for example, you want to play a berserker and you want to get the big damage on Hellblade. Okay, so you can put skill points in Hellblade just like in any other build planner. Just put 10 points in that. But as you maybe noticed already, there is more than just 10 skill levels, and that is because once you reach level 55, you can upgrade to level 11. This just upgrades the damage basically. But for plus 12, you need a level 60. And obviously you can also pick your tripods here. These names should already be translated or transferred over to our actual release names. So this is probably the easiest way you can see actually what these abilities are called already. On top of that, you see these 3 circles next to the ability, and if you scroll down, you can see 2 other tabs where you can tinker with that ability a little bit more. So first of all, there's jewels. In tier 1 there aren't jewels, so here it already starts at tier 2. Keep in mind, tier 2 gems will be useless once we enter tier 3, so most people just straight up go to the tier 3 gems, obviously for the builds. First thing to note, these gems are always basically do the same thing. They lower cooldown reduction, or lower the skill's cooldown rather, or actually give bonus skill damage. For each ability you can have a maximum of 2 of these equipped. So for important abilities, most people equip, let's say a level 10, which is very hard to obtain, of cooldown reduction and damage. And as you can see, it fills it out right here. Keep in mind though, since most classes have 8 abilities, unlike Deadeye and Gunslinger, you cannot put 2 gems on every single one of your abilities because it maxes out at 11, I believe. So only 11 of these gems can be equipped at all times at a maximum. So don't put 2 gems on every single one of your abilities, because that's not how it works. On top of that, you also have runes down here. As you can see, every ability has one of those rune slots, and you can equip up to 8 runes as far as I know. Keep in mind though that you cannot use the same runes multiple times depending on which rune it is. Most legendary runes you can only use once. I mean, it's about how many times you can acquire them after all. But there are a couple of epic runes that you can actually get up to 2 times. If you want to learn more about that, this website has an amazing guide for that as well. If you go all the way up here, you see the rune guide, same with the skill point guide. Very useful tools to have. So if you aren't sure, like, can I use this rune twice? Or how many skill points can I really get? Look at these little guides that Papunika has as well. It's very useful. All of the guides here are very useful, very well made. So I would just recommend, if you have like second thoughts on things, does this actually work? Try other guides on the website. But now that we looked through the ability, well, let's equip one really quick just for the sake of it. For example, Hellblade with the Bleed rune, and as you can see, it fills it out here as well. And as you know already, for most classes, you only have 8 abilities anyways. Oh, and 2 more quick things for people that aren't super familiar with this yet. At the very bottom, you can see 2 awakening abilities, which takes a little bit until you unlock them in game, and you can only have one of these equipped at any time. So this is basically your 9th ability, but you can only have one of these 2. Every class has 2 of them at the moment, so you have to pick one of them. On top of that, if you hover over any ability, you can see there's a little text that says PvE. There's unfortunately no way to have the PvP builds or the PvP abilities show here. So if you do have the game downloaded somewhere, you can just go over there and press Alt, actually see the PvP version of the ability. As you can see right here, that changes the ability from having a paralysis immunity to not having one. So that is very important if you want to make PvP builds. Keep in mind, not every ability is the same in PvE and PvP. So in the next tab, as you can see, there's more tabs than just the skills on this website, which is gear. I'm not gonna go too far into the different head, pans, and like armor pieces, but if you scroll down a little bit, you can also see the different ones here. As you can see, this is tier 1 sets and these are tier 3 sets. You can obviously click on them and see what these set effects actually do. So you can already, you know, theory craft a little bit. Maybe what do I want later on? What sounds interesting? What does what, and so on. But each individual piece obviously depends, and obviously you can upgrade the individual pieces and so on. This one over here is although very, very important for both PvE and PvP, the combat stats. So for PvP, for example, currently in Russia, this would be a very basic setup, because you get 1,250 attribute points in the match-made PvP, so that everyone has. This could change, keep that in mind. So if we do get the newest Korean patch, which changed the maximum attribute points, it would look something like this. You only have a maximum of 1,000 points, and one attribute can only be a maximum of 750. This is obviously not the same in PvE, and we'll get to that in a second. But just so you know, you can put some attribute points here as well for your build, what you want to pick up for PvP, for PvE. And if you scroll down a little bit further here, you can also see select pet stats. This is also important. Just a quick note, you cannot take, you know, crit and specialization. That doesn't work. So you always need to take one offensive one and one defensive one. Just a quick note as well. So for example here, I would have max HP plus 5 and 10% crit rate. And now we get to the juicy stuff, which is engravings. A lot of people are very confused how these work in its entirety, and it is confusing with the different levels and everything. But here you can also select engravings up to 6. In Korea currently, the highest level players have around 5 maxed out engravings, and the last one is on level 1 or maximum level 2. So in our version, obviously we will not have that many engravings initially. So keep in mind, like, if you have like more than 2 or 3 maxed out in the beginning, that's a lot already. So don't put like 6 fully maxed out engravings in here and expect to actually get that, because that will take a long time, and not even Korea has 6 maxed out engravings. And as you can see down here, the first 2 engravings are your class engravings. For most classes, you can actually not use both of them at the same time. They kind of just, you know, polar opposites in a lot of cases. So I would suggest just picking one. It depends on the class though. For example, Madness Berserker here, and then you can pick some other engravings as well. For example, Grudge. Sometimes even Berserkers used to use Supercharge, but just as an example, right? This is not an actual build. So as you can see, you can set that up here, and you can also change the levels of the engraving. So if you don't actually get to a level 3 engraving just yet, then you can just pick a tier 2 or a level 1. And then the last one build option for this website, which is amazing that they have all of this, is card sets. So for example, if you click on the first card set, you can see the different set options, and on top of that you can see the later on the awakening bonuses as well. That basically just means if you upgrade a card multiple times, it gets awakening points, basically these little crystals that you can see below the card. Don't expect to get awakenings early on, or a lot of them at least, because it takes a lot of time and you need to collect a lot of cards and a lot of shards of time, so like card experience basically. So most of these card sets will not be maxed out at a 30-piece awakening, which is by the way the maximum as far as I know. So you will not get there very early, but it's still good to know about these things because card sets can give you very big benefits like crit damage or converting your attacks to fire. Now that we've talked about Paponica and how advanced you can set up your build already there, and obviously Lost Ark Tree where you can have very simple but quick build planner options as well, this website over here is actually a Korean basically ranking website where you can see the top ranked people item level wise, or on any item level really. You can even adjust it right here so you can see people on any item level and what gear they're actually wearing, so you can actually get some inspiration what people play over there in Korea, what are the top people opting into, what engravings are they playing, and so on. So as an example, I'm a Blade player, so I click on Blade and now it shows me the top Blade players from the highest item level. Here you can see the item set, and you can see the class engraving as well. So for example, if we click on Green Representative, you can see his entire gear set, and obviously up here you can even put the English tag on, so these things are actually translated for you, which is really nice. So on top of that, you can click on these a bit, on these armor sets for example. You can see what the armor sets do, you can see what kind of stats they're running right here. In this case, fatality would be a crit, and specialization is obvious. Swiftness as well, so everything you need to know is down here as well. You can see which engravings they actually have equipped, which ability stone they're using, what accessories, what gems they're actually opting into, and obviously, which is very important, the engravings as well. On top of that, you can click on this little window up here, skill, and you can see basically everything they used on their different abilities, which gems are they using, which runes are they using, and so on. Just one quick note for all transformation players out there: you cannot see runes for your transformation, so it's not as accurate for transformation builds. So Shadow Hunter and Scouter mainly, obviously we don't have that on launch. Blaster to an extent, I'm guessing, as well. So just so you know, it's not as accurate for those because there's some things missing. But overall, you can basically see everything here, even what they have collected. And I think this is a great inspiration for anyone who wants to already learn about what the top level Korean players are playing. It's a great website, and also, as all of the websites, will be linked in the description below. And last but not least, I want to give a quick shout out to maxroll.gg as well. They do very nice guides for Lost Ark, and a lot of very experienced players actually make those guides. For example, here, Saint Owen's Sorceress Guide, leveling in this case, and you can learn a lot of things from them as well if you need some inspiration, if you want to see what the top players are actually playing or what they're suggesting. So this is also a great website, and I want to give it a shout out as well, although you don't really require this to make your own builds. But if you're a little bit lost and you don't really know where to go anymore, this website also offers you some good build options. And with that being said, that was the entire video of today. I hope it helped you out a little bit. If you have any more advanced questions about any of this, just leave a comment down below, or if you're watching this after launch, you will probably see me live streaming on Twitch right now. So I hope I see you guys over there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if it helped you out, I hope you subscribe as well. Always helps out a lot. And yes, see you in the next one. Thanks for being here. Goodbye. Peace.